Cool. Welcome back. We are now in the midst of I don't know what the word is for it, but we are going to take it real slow today, and I don't have any particular aim in mind, so we're just going to talk about everything that pops up. This would be the title screen, opening scene here for a Nadia start. So this is not the in-game version of this scene, but this shot would become synonymous with starting a new game. Imagine you press start, and then every time you press start for a new game, you hear glass shatter and you get this in-game scenario. So if you're listening to this, I want you to just imagine, hold on, let me put up the musical credit. You press start, and it's very liquid. As the very beginning of your finger touches the start button, you start to hear the shattering glass. And we record, 7 different glass shatters and then play them randomly each time. At any rate, that glass shatter starts to become your Pavlov's bell, and you become conditioned to realize that you're about to start playing one of the greatest games ever as you burst through the window that we all know so well from Chrono Trigger, and then head into what I would call, if you're really good at it, like 30 minutes, but the first time through, 2 to 3 hours of prologue before you get to the open world. And the open world is where the real game begins. You can alter the condition of the world in 2 ways. This looks terrible here. What can I do with this? Oh, I know what I'm gonna do. This one's really gonna knock your socks off. Saw that? Okay, so here are the 3 starting... Oh, I'm sorry, why did I say 3? No idea. These are the 5 starting scenarios, which we talked about last time. But anyway, alternate. Chrono Trigger pioneered, Chrono Trigger pioneered alternate endings, and we are really going to make sure that Chrono Break pioneers alternate starts. It makes so much sense. So essentially the Shala, there's 3 story gates, as I mentioned. There's the Vision Serpent, there's the Warring Dyad, and then the final one, which I will not talk about now, but let's talk about the second one, which we kind of covered a little bit, but this is sort of the Shala based one. So the same way that Dinopolis was pulled into the Earth after Chronopolis went back in time, so at the end of Chrono Cross, you see Shala like in this urban setting. I gotta find it. In the meantime, all right, what we're going to do now is plug the music, and also so funny story, when we uploaded the Japanese spoken word video that we made, it automatically dubbed it to English. So in a hilarious turn of events, it's still English. Even the title, I put it in Japanese, I put all the words in Japanese, and then when I went to watch the video, it's the last upload to the channel, it's miraculously coming back to me in English, which makes me think I didn't need to make those videos in the first place because the Japanese people were probably getting a Japanese dub blasting at them from the very beginning as well. But then I think maybe not. Maybe English is one of the first ones to get the auto dub because Japanese a little bit more challenging. I don't know. Funny things regardless. I guess everyone sees that this is module lo-fi, so we can turn off the credit for now. So we took a look at all the sequence last time. I'm just looking for any sort of boredom, visual boredom. This would be the opening scene again, remember? Marl start. That's right, we are seeking out visual boringness. This one is cool. This explains all the chapters. There should be some extra flair around there. I feel like it would make more sense to have some sprites on the left and right, but I'm not going to add it. At this point, it's done. And in the creator's mind, they always see what could have been, but people experiencing a piece of media, they're not imagining what could have been. And if they are, they're not imagining exactly the same way as the creator most of the time. So after that 30 minutes to 2 hours I told you about, you end up at the end of time, and you can go to prehistory and just get mad swole, or you can go to 700 and initiate the quest to pick up Frog, or you can go to 1020 and learn about the god-awful fate that befell the world and see a post-apocalyptic version of 1020 and meet an older Chrono who's been just like trained by the world that, you know, he's got a reason to be silent this time, we'll say. He's been traumatized plenty through a post-Lavos. So essentially what happens in the events of the Dusk of Time was that, like, through a result of that, the day of Lavos actually comes 1100 years earlier. It comes in 900. So in this scenario, Chrono grows up in a post-Lavos world. So he's kind of like weirdly... We can talk about that today. We can talk about the Dragon Tank today. So if you choose to go to... Hold on. I guess we should really do this correctly. I'll wait for this to finish off, and then we'll get into starting the whole game from the beginning and what happens. Oops, there goes the music. Oh no, it restarted the whole track. We can't have that. Okay, or can we? Tell you what, let's alternate to our main theme song for a bit. This was made by Flovey using the Chrono Trigger sound font. Okay, I will watch this up here. Turn that off. Come back to it later if we need to. All right, here's Nama again with his triple text. So this is what the game should look like. 100% just give us the two. Imagine if a 16-bit game was made today. That's all we want. Just make it look like Chrono Trigger, but then do crazy, flashy cutscenes. Show us the depths of what 16-bit animated cutscenes can look like. Show us the maximum of that. Because, you know, Jack White said that what made the White Stripes great was the limitation of the rules of only having the drummer and the guitarist. It's the rules, it's the limitations that make something great. A lot of programmers from back in the 16-bit, 256 megabyte days, I think the Final Fantasy VI guy said the same thing. He said that the limitations made them have to make creative choices. And so you can use those limits to help any creative project. In this case, I completely forgot what we were talking about. Because I've lived a hard life and my memory is not what it once was. I'll just be honest. Okay. Speaking of memory not being what it once was, when you play New Game Plus, you keep the power levels, but your equipment is not the same unless you did the cross-run transfer. Like, I was thinking about how cool that would be last night. You know, so it's like you kind of have a feeling that if you just leave a rainbow blade in a chest for the next run at a crucial point, it'll be helpful. So then you might not ever game over on that save, you know? You might play forever and you forgot about it. But then the next time you play, you're in like the starting scenario and you pick up that crucial weapon that you had set for yourself before. That would be very, very fun. So it's like a run and run kind of game, but also the runs interact with each other. All right, let's see. What have we done? What have we not done more specifically? I think this one is all finished. We're done with this scene. Let's move on to this one. Oh, we were talking about the Warring Dyad, where you can get Shala. We've got a lot about Shala here. So, like I mentioned, at the end of Chrono Cross, she's seen wandering around a modern-day city. And the only other modern-day city that's in black and white that I've ever seen on the end of a Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross ending was this one, which, as I mentioned last time, was apparently Drakengard, someone putting the Drakengard ending into the end of Chrono Cross. But here you have what looks like the city Shala was in being attacked by what looks like some weird version of the Dragon God, followed by Fate. This I added in from Dark Pixel on YouTube. But yeah, then you have Shala in this city. So that was what I was imagining. You know, Shala's actually there. Her city gets pulled into the break due to the anti-balancing thing, like Dinopolis and Chronopolis, anti-annihilation energy, trying to balance things because she's there, because she's the X factor. So that's an example of you don't have the storyline being contrived. It's because Shala's there that this place got pulled into the break to try to counterbalance the damage that was being done. Because the anti-annihilation energy swims around Shala because she's like, so, you know how she is. So anyway, she's sort of like in street clothes, potentially. I had a mock-up of that. I'm sure no one would like it. I don't even really like it myself, but it would be the closest way to square Shala's appearance with how she was blonde in Chrono Cross and such and such. There's a whole live stream about the Aruba's blue hair and the influence I think that could have had, but I'm not going to talk about that yet. Okay, let's go to this one. The ending of Chrono Cross. Once again, disclaimer up. Turned out that was the ending of Chrono Cross as adjusted by some cheeky YouTuber who put the ending of Drakengard in the end of Chrono Cross. So I went through all the effort to extract this scene from the ending of Chrono Cross when someone had just added it in there willy-nilly. But anyway, it's sticking in the story. It's cool. We're going to keep it. So imagine that, you know, after the player gets to the break, that's because they've defeated the Vision Serpent and they've split, they've lessened fates hold over the dragon god. So they split back up, and the dragon god immediately goes running to like the biggest source of human occupation on the planet, which is this big huge city. It's the most densely populated area. It's like the dragon god goes there immediately just to wreak havoc on humanity, because the dragon god hates humanity. You know, that's the whole thing, is they have enmity, which means bad blood. But then fate just like chases after it immediately. So what you have is anti-annihilation energy pulling whatever city Shala ended up in at the end of Chrono Cross, this modern city, into the break. And it's up in the north. Hold on. This is not related, but it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool party. Fabian's got the hat. He's got Gasper's hat. Anyways, I don't know why I'm showing you this other than it's totally badass. Okay, put that over here. Oh, are you guys ready for your mind blown? Oops. Mind blown. Fade. Okay. So let's go on with this. What happened was, when you defeat the Vision Serpent, the Dragon God goes immediately towards the biggest population center, which is this city that was pulled into the break because Shala's there. Because she's, you know, like a huge game changer in the face of life and death on the planet. Because she's, you know, see our previous conversation on anti-annihilation energy. Anyway, so the Dragon God gets there and just starts wrecking shit. And Fate is like trying to re-enslave it. Let's play this. Wait, it's not playing. Okay. Continue. 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 What is this? Okay, here we go. So you can choose. I really want to show that last one that was just up. How do we get back to that? Here we go. The ending of Chrono Cross, aka Drakengard, depicts the battle between Fate and the Dragon God, also called the Warring Dyad, which is a nod at Final Fantasy VI with the Warring Triad. Fate wins this battle and subjugates the Dragon God, but the War of the Jealous Gods does not end here. So this is actually, that was actually referencing the past, what already happened. But now, when it says the War of Jealous Gods does not end, it means that now you're in the city. So you can go there and you can, you know, enter the city and eventually find Shala to be like leading refugees of the destruction through the tunnels and stuff. You know, she's doing Shala stuff. Like, she was protecting and helping build in the city of Algeti, you know, before the whole Islands of Zeal fell down. She's always had a history of outreach and helping the community. She's kind of like a Princess Diana type, if they had the luxury to afford those kind of matters on their agenda, aside from summoning Lavos and ruining the planet kind of shit. At any rate, let's see what happens next. What other ones do I have for this? I want to get some Shala videos here. Oh, here we go. This is not a Shala video, but it is cool. If Fate wins, she takes over Mother Brain and Central Regime. The elements no longer work because the Dragon God would be dead, but the fates react, or the records reactivate, which is helpful from a gameplay point of view if you want to do like the old style kind of game where you have traditional save formats. It's up to you. You can choose if you want to set the game conditions to that. I was expecting more to that. All right, we can find a couple of these. Couple of those. All right, I know what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about if you begin a new game. All right, let's go back to the traditional music for that. Hold on, I did just want to show some Shala stuff. I think we can take the time. Like I said, that's what I need to learn how to do, is not to rush from thing to thing to thing, but to really explore the topic that we're on. So I'm going to hunker down here. This is looking okay. Let's turn this off so we can see some fresh stuff. Okay, that would be like the Ioka color palette, and they were traditionally stronger and faced the reptites head on. Then you have the Laruba, and they were more fast, and they were hiding. So they're kind of more like stealthy thief types, and the Ioka are more like warrior types. And when you start a new game and meet up with Ayla, then you'll be assigned a random batch of them, aka same like in Final Fantasy Tactics. So this is Shala's zone. In 1999, Mother Brain is rapidly losing control. As two gods war in the sky above, Shala protects refugees from the destruction. And so when you're going in to get to Mother Brain, or whatever the central point of this mission would be, it's like you're going in. Someone, hold on, let me just take a moment to explain. I remember hearing one time how cool it was that in Metroid, might be Super Metroid, I'm not sure which Metroid it is, but it's like very, very challenging to get into the final area. But then you get a power-up in there, I think it's a new suit. And then it's very satisfying to leave that area and completely destroy all the really hard enemies that you just almost died a million times trying to get through to get there. So I was imagining that's what this scenario would be like, where you're trying to get to somewhere I haven't thought of yet, something to do with Mother Brain and the refugees in the city and everything. And getting there is really, really challenging. But then after you get there, and then Shala like fully bros up with you and joins the party, even as maybe a guest, then it's like, it might even be more effective if it's as a guest. But then, you know, all those really, really challenging enemies that you just faced just become trivial when you finally have, you know, trans-dimensional, perfect space goddess Shala as a playable character. Because she can do some really OP stuff. You know, like, what's it called? X-Zone, I think it was. In Final Fantasy VI, they had one spell that just... Was it Break? I don't know. They had one spell that was basically insta-death for many, many, many enemies. And so that would be the vibe here. Shala can very easily cast one of those pink pyramids to go over top of an enemy. I'm trying to find the pink pyramid thing. Hold on. Here we go. Here we go. Remember these? So she seals up the gate in Chrono Trigger with one of these pink pyramids. So imagine that there's all these hella stressful, very challenging enemies to get into where Shala's at. And then you trigger some story event, and then Shala joins the party. And then when you're running out, she might not be unaliving every single enemy, but she is sealing them off in these pink pyramids, and they will never to return. She just makes it like way more. It's easy, you're winning, but it doesn't feel, I don't know, it's not the ultimate OP win because they're not actually dying, you're just taking them off the field with 100% success rate. So that's what Shala can do. She can just sort of like bind elements of the battlefield in place indefinitely. And she also serves a function in the gameplay Because now you can do, when you start a new game, you can set the conditions. You can say, I want to start here, I want to have this, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want this to be triggered. Because, so you can basically unlock your custom mode for playing the game, because Shala is going to wave her hand and send you to that reality. That's how it works. So when you recruit Shala, you also get custom mode, where you can establish the conditions of your game before you start, which will make more sense as I explain more about what the conditions of the game are. Okay, these texts were all taken from the Reddit thread, Andy Maker. These were his ideas for some Shala stuff. I don't want to get into the Dark Moon yet, but that's all backstory. Don't need to hear it yet. What's happening here? Why is I think I'm having some kind of weird seizure. I keep pressing the same one. Okay, here you go. So up in the north, this mysterious city has been phased onto the break as well, which is a total surprise to Fate and Fate's boss, who is Labos, but is also not Labos in a way. Once again, watch The Dusk of Time if you want to know the whole background behind. We said we were going to stop doing spoilers, or caring about spoilers now, but I'll give one more episode before I start talking about who the Lavos force is in this continuity, and what sort of, why are they relevant. Okay, I think after this we're gonna move to the other yes. Should we be? Okay, I think this is about where we were on the music before. Cool. Yeah, this is sort of a little break. Just a chance to remind everyone that if you want to request a topic of discussion, there are many, many different, what's the word? I haven't actually been watching the chat. There's a lot of ground to cover in this story, so if you want me to address something specific, you can leave it in the comments or ask me now, but I'm pretty sure that most of the stuff I thought of. Oh, that's right. We were going to completely finish the Dusk of Time chapters and explain everything that was happening with those. So as we left was here on chapter 4. And then after that, okay, let's keep it up. We got to keep that volume up. All right, so after chapter 4, then we go to human resettlement. So Labos is dead, and there's a few remaining humans who are in a bad way. So this This is the Dusk of Time side game is also your tutorial in many ways. It introduces you to the end game elements of the game. So where we hope to have the end game of Chrono Break be kind of like maintaining the violent enemies coming out of the time gates, and also a good amount of keeping the farm going through various means. At any rate, the Human Resettlement Project is your it's your tutorial. It's your first. It's the way that the story explains to you how to do building buildings, keeping a few characters at that building, then building another building somewhere else, and having characters be responsible for outposts. So that's what this chapter would do. For story reasons, I'm not going to say why she's doing that, but in fact I will, because Lavos, I don't know, I don't want to give away if you don't want to, I'm not going to give away spoilers directly, but I am going to go over the chapters. All right, then some crazy shit happens here. Let's see, in this one, it's just important to notice this metal detector. One of the key items in the game is the metal detector. You can use it anywhere. Sounds funny, comes out of nowhere, but it actually has kind of roots in the classic, I don't know what. Eclipse is a flashback within a flashback. In fact, it's probably just like a movie, but I'm not going to say too much. I'm just going to recommend once again that you go watch The Dusk of Time if you haven't ever seen it. I'm going to go through them quickly. If you've seen it, it'll be cool. Imagine, the enemies and characters and stuff that you can face here. There is no chapter 11. We go straight to chapter 12, chapter 13. Uh-oh. Don't look at that if you don't want to see spoilers. Especially don't look at that. One of the coolest things ever. And especially don't look at that. Do look at this. This is the cool part I wanted to talk about before. So after you finish the quest, then you're at the home base. Well, then you're actually coming off of the location that Luca ended up at, and you're walking down onto the break to find your new life and to figure out, to basically set up this base that the main party of the game will encounter you at later. So I don't know how much time has passed between the end of Dusk of Time and when the party arrives there in Chrono Break, but I'm going to say that it should always remain ambiguous. You don't know how long Luca's been there by herself. Because by the end of Dusk of Time, she's already got that old wizened... Let's pull our pointer out. You see, thanks to the hook shot, you can see Luca's got the no helmet. Imagine she's also kind of older and wizened in this. This is her guest. When she comes out with you as a guest, she looks like this. Later on, she reclaims her helmet, throws that bad boy on, and joins you as an official player again. You can still take the helmet off, but it's not the default. Can you take the helmet off? I wonder. Anyway, so this would be, the new extinction would be the end of the Dusk of Time, where you have a certain amount of time to run around, and I kind of feel like it could be one of those things where as soon as you get to the place where Breakwave Point is on the map, which is going to be randomly generated every single, generation of the game, then that's when it ends. And she suddenly says like, okay, well, I'm going to put down camp here and stay or whatever. So that way it behooves the player to actually try to run away from Breakwave Point if they want to explore, as much of the map as possible. Because, like, imagine... Oh, hold on. Someone's at the door. dog is a menace. It's my sister's dog, actually. Okay. What were we just talking about? Okay. We were saying that if the final chapter, ambiguously lengthed final chapter of the Luca side quest that you can start when you get to Breakwave Point, if that automatically ends when you find the spot on the map where Breakwave Point is, that would behoove the player to run around and explore everything that wasn't Breakwave Point if they wanted it to last as long as possible. And then when you exit out of the mini quest, the Dusk of Time sub game, which is like traditional Chrono Trigger gameplay with save points and everything, then Luca's got a map. You know, then she'll have mapped that regions already, so all the work you did in this mini game will then pay off immediately into your knowledge of the break then. So that sounds like a hella interesting way to balance exploring while the break is young and Luca is, you know, relatively strong. She can mess everything up, versus by the time the party gets there and, you know, the monsters are sort of overrunning the place. All right, cool. I think I covered that to death. I think I got everything out of the way there. But yeah, what we want is to have for sure a side quest where you play as Luca going through everything that set up the break. And that is accessible probably, like, I would say anywhere from 2 to, on your first playthrough, 6 hours into the game. Then you'll get to Breakwave Point. Then you can start that side quest if you want. You don't ever have to do it. And if you don't do it, then you'll just have a cursory understanding of things that never get explained in the main game, which is exactly what you want for someone to be able to pick up a game without ever having played Chrono Trigger or Chrono Cross, is just to pick it up and be like, holy moly, I don't understand anything about this game except for after I beat the first boss, I saw this dragon fly off up to the north and it chased after it. So if I want to do anything else, I can go up there. And then after that, there's only one other major story choice to make, and the rest is intuitive. Okay, I think I'm going to call it there for the day. So I will catch you on the next broadcast. Okay, I'm not going to leave, but I am going to stop doing commentary. I'm just going to mess around, so I'm going to make some new graphics before I leave, suitable for TikTok. So if you want to watch that, stick around.